So this morning I was going through Twitter a little bit, and there's a whole lot of fucketry going on, and we'll get to that. But one item in particular got in my craw, and it was the impetus for today's title and thumbnail, because the person in the thumbnail is what's his name? Something Johnson. He's the president of the NAACP. Oh, let me do real quick, finish my tweets out here. And well, we'll get into it. But if you didn't know who that was, then the thumbnail, that's who it is. And it's just, as I'm looking at all that's happening right now in our country, particularly the so-called cancel culture, which some people absolutely deny, while at the same time doing their best to cancel people. It's so reminiscent of the McCarthy era, right? Where they're hunting down communists. But now the self-righteous are hunting down racists, because racists are everywhere now. Or their other favorite word is fascists, which most of them don't even know what fascism is. That's just a term they use to anyone that is, right of Noam Chomsky. Although Noam Chomsky might get canceled just for signing that letter in Harper's Magazine. Or it's a moral, we're going through this incredible moral panic. Also amplified by the fact that we have people who want a Marxist solution. And it's been taught everywhere. The education system, and it has kind of pushed for this for a long time. And I think about some courses I took in college back in the mid to late 80s. And it never dawned on me, because some of the books that some of the professors assigned for us to read, The Greening of America, what was the one? The Closing of the American Mind. They didn't do that one. They didn't do that one. That would have made sense. What was the one? Oh, there was one book that The Population Bomb was one of them. And it was just one of those things, like, you don't even realize you're being indoctrinated or attempted indoctrination. And I just got through the class. You know what I mean? It never dawned on me that I was rejecting some of the ideas that these professors are driving into me. I didn't realize it at the time until I got into the 90s, and I'm thinking, I'm looking back on that, and like, why did he assign this book? This is a communications class. But he assigned all these, this one professor in particular, assigned all these just left-wing propaganda books to us. And it didn't dawn on me until later that I was like, oh, that's what they're talking about. As I get older, and they're like, oh, yeah, the professors are giving you all this left-wing propaganda. And I'm like, I don't know, did they? And I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Oh my God, that was it. But anyway, so and this tweet and article from ABC News just highlighted the fact that we are in a sort of a new McCarthy era. Just in a different direction. So we'll talk about that today in the intro. But I also kind of want to go rapid fire, because there's a whole lot of news that I just want to touch on here and there and see where we get. So let's play the intro, and we'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog Studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PAWG Night. And stop the music. Hey everybody, welcome to the Morning Night Live. I am your host, Marty, also known on the internet as PAWG Night, and welcome back to the PAWG Night channel. And today is really Friday, as opposed to yesterday when I inadvertently said it was Friday yesterday, because I don't know, whatever happened there. It is the 10th of July. We're almost halfway through the summer season. And my flower garden is looking fantastic. In fact, I'm going to have to take some new video today because a bunch of my Asiatic lilies are popping, and all the allium turned bright or dark purple now, and a bunch of my coneflowers are up. I know you're excited about my garden. That's why you're here. But no, really, we're going to talk about our new stint at McCarthyism. A couple quick thank yous to the first people to tweet out the show today were Chi-Town J and just Chi-Town J. Thank you, Chi-Town J, for tweeting out the show. But let's say good morning to everyone in the chat before we get started. And I want to go back to this new McCarthyism that we're talking about today. First in the chat today was Rolling Bear, who gets the bell if it works. Am I not hearing it? Do I have volume down? What the hell's going on here? Where'd my bell go? Did it ring? Well, it's going to ring eventually. There you go. Oh, I knew it'd work eventually. Also, good morning to Mad Max, Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
Dark Isle. Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Nice. Welcome back. Hey, Larry is in the house. How you doing? Keenan, howdy. Damn it, Chadwick, a.k.a. Chadwick Dupree is here, and Selected Boy is in the house.
Yeah, boy.
Good morning also to Mike Savage with the requisite blarg. Good morning, Amy in Connecticut, Renee Mayette, Jonas Pedersen, Advocatus Diaboli, the Devil's Advocate. Good morning, Gunfox61, James Crow. Who else here? Oh, I'm just going to scroll a little bit. Is that it? Is that everybody? Tyler F., how you doing? There are people rolling in. Scribe Light, good morning with the dog frapple. Good morning, Scribe. How you doing, my man? Stabbin' Joe Scarborough, C. Thomas of the Gulf City Peasant, D.I. Freighter Watcher, John Smith, Chi-Town J, Duck Dog, Balin Bobby. Hi from New Mexico. Awesome. Attack Alpaca. Okay, now everyone started rolling. Renovacio. I think I got... Oh, and Johnny Bonsaco. So that's everyone who I've caught so far. Please, if you would be so kind, if you follow me on Twitter... Whoa, I got my first super chat of the day from Mr. Gunfox. And it's the top donor of the day already in the house with the big $10. Thank you, sir. Gunfox says... Communism is heresy. Socialism equals failure. Also, check your email title. Read this. No bell for you. No bell for you. Oh, no, you get the bell. That's a bell. I get this working now. Also, check your email. Title, read this. Okay, maybe it's in. Okay, I will check my email, Gunfox, because I've been neglecting the hashtag and the email for a while, so I will check the email. Maybe you probably have something good in here. So let's get started though with this article and the tweet that got in my grits today. Oh shoot, what did I do there? Oh, thank you, Jaeger Pony, Tyler F. For tweeting out the show. Some of you tweet it yourself. Some of you just hit the thing. Oh, and Jaeger Pony is in the house. How you doing? Also, good morning, Green Thunder Demighty. All right. This tweet, which annoyed the hell out of me just as I read it, because I read it and I was thinking as I read it, I even tweeted, John McCarthy couldn't have written it better himself. This is Derek Johnson This is an ABC News tweet, but it's quoting Derek Johnson. Derek Johnson, the president of the NAACP, one of the leaders of the ongoing Facebook ad boycott. Yes, there is a full court press on Facebook right now. But he calls the social media giant a threat to democracy and says that they won't back down until the platform is safe for everyone. Now, there's that word again. There's that the new buzzword they like to use is safe or safety, or you're threatening my safety. Which is just straight up bullshit, right? It's just one of those words they use to create an action. If someone's a threat to your safety, well, then you could use violence to protect yourself, right? So they use that or use extreme measures to remedy a so-called threat to your safety, right? So it's a loaded word that they use on purpose, okay? And I don't mean they, the NAACP. I just mean anyone who wants to control what you can and cannot say. All right? So here's the quote from Derek Johnson, and I'm going to change some words in it afterwards to show you why this just sounds so McCarthyistic. If that's a word. Anyway, listen. Facebook is allowing their platform to be used as a gathering point to meet, recruit, and plan out harm against communities. They've also allowed their platform to be manipulated by a foreign nation and domestic actors to suppress and subvert our voting process and democracy. This is a clear and present danger to our democracy. Now, change some of the words and go back into the 60s, late 50s, when Senator Joe McCarthy was out hunting communists. Hollywood is allowing their platform to be used as a gathering point to meet, recruit, and plan out harm against America. They've also allowed their platform to be manipulated by communists and local traitors to subvert our voting process and our democracy. That is a clear and present danger to our democracy. See the parallel now? Do you see the parallel now? It's burn the witch. Find the witches, and we will burn them at the stake. It's just so insidious, and in the name, and who could be against anti-racism? They're cloaking in the name of anti-racism, in the name of protecting democracy. When in all reality, you know what it is? They're still mad about an election that was supposed to be for her. It was her turn. And look, as you may recall, I didn't vote for President Trump. I didn't vote for her either, but I didn't vote for President Trump. And yet, that's what all this is about. Now, I pretty much know at this point that I probably will vote for somebody for president this year, as opposed to the end of civilization through a meteor hurling down to Earth and destroying all humanity, which I did in 2016. Yes, I literally did that. I voted for the sweet meteor of death. But anyway, this is it. This temper tantrum that's disguised as police protests against police brutality, because I don't think that it's funny. So in theory, a lot of the turmoil that we're seeing right now as far as protests, and that sometimes devolve into riots and burning and whatever, killing, looting, and fire, it's all supposed to be about George Floyd's death and police brutality, right? And well, if you think about it, and then, but all of the ire seems to be directed towards President Trump. Now, let's think about that for a second. President Trump has never been a police chief. President Trump has never been a mayor who would be the boss of a police chief. President Trump's never been in a legislature of a state or a city council that writes laws or determines policy. Thank you, C. Thomas, of the police. Let me do a quick super chat here. Thank you, C. Thomas, for the $2. I know this goyim is referring to the almost extinct and dreaded white supremacists, but that is full of shit, since Facebook loves all the Antifa pages and making excuses for the real enemy of our democracy and people. And that's a fact. Yes, you're right, C. Thomas. It's funny because he's talking about recruit and plan out harm against communities. You know who has recently recruited and planned out and actually done harm to communities? Probably did a lot of that planning on Facebook. I would say probably, let's see, Black Lives Matter, maybe? Now, and look, again, let's distinguish between Black Lives Matter, the concept, and Black Lives Matter, the organization. Now, and also, I wouldn't even say that Black Lives Matter, the organization, initially was using Facebook as a gathering point to meet, recruit, and plan out harm against communities. They were just going, originally the people were just coming out to protest. But you know who else uses Facebook as a, quote, gathering point to meet, recruit, and plan out harm against communities? Oh! Antifa! So, this NAACP president, wow. But you know what? I know that's not who he was talking about. We know who he was talking about. All the white supremacists, all those white supremacists out there. And, you know, even the FBI has said if they might, however many groups they said, there might be a total of maybe 10,000 of maybe that are affiliated with this actual so-called white supremacist groups. Although they, you know, it's funny because they lump in like the Proud Boys as a white supremacist group, which Proud Boys, that's, if you really know anything about the history and the mission of the Proud Boys, that ain't it. Sorry, it's not. The Proud Boys are basically multiracial for that matter, which is, but you'd never know that if you read some of these things. But this is literally about her and Donald Trump, because they focus all their ire on Donald Trump, and yet, like I said, Donald Trump's never been in a city council. He's never made policy for police department, never been a police chief, never made policy for police department, never been a state legislator, never made policy for police department, never been even a governor in a state who's never signed a policy for police department, he was never in the House of Representatives or the Senate who could write laws about police departments and police brutality and things like that. But he's president of the United States. When all of these police killings during the Obama administration were happening, Donald Trump wasn't the president of the United States, because I said the Obama administration or any time before that. And before that, Donald Trump was just running his businesses and being a buffoon on TV with the Apprentice. Okay? Shouldn't have said buffoon, but whatever. He was a game show host. And has business, owned a lot of buildings around the world. Okay? So why is there ire at Donald Trump and not these governors and mayors and, well, obviously they hate the police and the police chiefs and police unions. And yet we're looking at Donald Trump about this? George Floyd was killed because that's Trump's America. All those other man bite dog names you trot out every time something like this goes on. Those didn't happen in Trump's America. Thank you, Rolling Bear. Thank you, Tyler F., for retweeting the show this morning. So let's look at this article that ABC News put on their website. NAACP president calls Facebook a threat to democracy. I wish there was somebody on the left that would come up with that "have you no shame" line that turned around the McCarthy era. He says the ad boycott isn't dying down soon. Derek Johnson opened up about the ongoing ad boycott against the platform. Yeah. I'm sure Zuckerberg's shaking in his boots. Derek Johnson, the president of the NAACP and one of the leaders of the ongoing Facebook ad boycott, called the social media giant a threat to democracy. And said that they won't back down until the platform is safe for everyone. Yes, safe. And I don't know why my sound effects aren't working, but I rang a bell there and it's going to pop up sometime randomly during this. Can we start a counter movement called Human Lives Matter? If they object to it, their hypocrisy would become blatant, as they would have to claim POCs are not human. Yeah. Well, they tried that with all. And they say we're talking about Black lives. Well, no, you're not talking about Black lives. I was going to go over that Terry Crews interview. No, we're not. They're not talking about Black lives. They're talking about a tiny fraction of Black lives, because as Terry Crews made Don Lemon admit, that they don't want to talk about all these other people getting killed in the hoods by other people with similar melanin content. Those lives aren't part of black lives, even though they are black lives. Only the black lives that have to do with this tiny little sliver, this tiny 0.1% that are lives are taken by police officers, even if a vast majority of those are justified. But let me continue here. And this said they won't back down until the platform is safe for everyone. Well, you know, all the data mining and data selling that Facebook does, and you know, the cookies that send you targeted advertising all the time on Facebook, that makes me feel unsafe. Safe for everyone. What exactly about Facebook makes you feel unsafe? You can choose what you read. You can choose what you don't read. Again, that word safety is being used as an excuse to commit actual violence and sometimes just to get rid of you because you made someone feel unsafe. Thank you, C. Thomas, with another $2 on the super chat in the Streamlabs. By the way, if you're interested in throwing out a super chat here and there, it helps me a lot, and you're supporting some greatness, I think. I hope. The show is sponsored by viewers like you. Support the show with your donations and have your super chats read live on the show. Click that link that's in the chat. Thank you, C. Thomas, for the $2, who says social media is a threat to democracy, just not in the way they tout, and it stands as it stands right now, the mainstream media is the enemy of the people. Also, safe by their metric is China levels of censorship based on ideology, as if that's not authoritarian. Yes, that's exactly it. They love the idea of a Chinese social credit system. They literally, now let's take Stefan Molyneux, who they just banned from YouTube and from Twitter, who, you know what? Hey, some of the shit he says is controversial. So? But they also take away people's ability to even do financial transactions. They took away some people's, what was it, Laura Loomer, when they took away her, Citibank dropped her because of her personal opinions? Give me a fucking break. And so, but they love the idea, thank you again, C. Thomas, of this idea of a social credit system where if you do something wrong, we're going to make sure you can't function in society. We're going to destroy you. And I have examples. Here we go. Let me finish this article real good. Facebook, here he continues. Facebook is allowing their platform to be used as a gathering point to meet, recruit, and plan out harm against communities. Johnson told ABC News they've also allowed their platform to be manipulated by a foreign nation. Oh, which foreign nation might that be? Huh? I wonder which foreign nation he's talking about. Because I'm pretty sure there are several foreign nations on Facebook that try to manipulate information in the United States. Oh, I bet he's not talking about China, though, or Israel, or Iran, or India. Oh, I bet he's talking about, let me guess. Hold on. By the way, I do have my cup of reparations coffee at hand, and I need a sip right now. I'll bet you he's talking about Russia, 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 Russia. I bet he is. Oh, because he says they've allowed their platform to be manipulated by a foreign nation and domestic actors to suppress and subvert our voting process and democracy. Really? I'm trying to figure out how they suppressed and subverted our voting process. Really? Really? No. What was it? Did you see the Facebook ads? Did ya? suppress with the coloring book of a buff Bernie Sanders? Who did they suppress with an ad of Jesus arm wrestling the devil? Who did they suppress, and how did it subvert our process? People dumb enough for those ads. In fact, they had pro-Hillary ads. Did those subvert our process? They didn't suppress anybody. This whole voter suppression thing. Now, if you are convinced by anyone because you saw some ad on Facebook of a buff Bernie Sanders coloring book, and you didn't go vote because of that coloring book. Oh, by the way, yes,
China is asshole.
just FYI. If you didn't go vote because of that, did Facebook suppress your vote, or did your own dumbass suppress your vote? Please. The whole voter suppression thing is just another one of those canards that they use to make it look like, oh yes, the racists are using mind control over you. Good morning, Faithless. Nice to see you around. I haven't seen you for a while. Welcome back. And Sean DW. The greatest threat to the American system of government is the American people. Right now it is. Right now. Hello, E. Michael. What's up? With the Marty. Although in a Doc Brown voice. I can't do a Doc. Can I do a Doc Brown voice? I don't really know. Marty, you gotta get you've gotta come back with me to the future. What Doc? What Doc? Is it something I did? No, Marty, it's your kids. Canard is French for duck. Okay. It's a duck then. If it quacks like a duck. And then he says, that is a clear and present danger to our democracy. Get the fuck out of it. You don't give a fuck about our democracy, and you know it. All you want is to make sure that Democrats are elected. That is all you give a shit about. Okay? It has nothing to do with our democracy. Our democracy is working just fine. Our representative republic in the form of Republican, what is it called? Republicanism or whatever it is just fine. Now, you may not like how the results every time, but it has nothing to do with being a clear and present danger to our democracy. You couldn't give two shits about our democracy. The article continues. And now they try to give credibility to the NAACP just because of what this guy says. The article goes, the NAACP was started in 1909 in response to a race riot in Springfield, Illinois, and the founders of the organization have stated very clearly that we cannot have a true democracy if we allow for this type of mob violence. He added, accusing Facebook of allowing the same violence to breed on the platform. Have you been paying attention, Mr. Johnson, to what's going on in America right now? Who is perpetrating a vast majority of the violence in the United States right now? Oh, it's the protesters. Oh, well, not all the protesters, not the protesters who came out peacefully. It's not the peaceful protesters. It's the violent protesters who want to break shit and break windows and tear down statues, even if they don't know what the statue's for. They fucking tore down Frederick Douglass. That's comical. That is completely comical. Or burning down the elk in Portland. Yes, that statue was a white supremacist elk. Moreover, Johnson said he believes Facebook has absolutely failed to keep African Americans safe. You know what? I'm wondering how. How does Facebook keep African Americans safe? Well, he continues. When you have a white supremacist group meeting on the platform, plotting and planning on the platform, that's a threat to the African American community, Johnson said. What? Can you be more specific? Name the white supremacist group meeting on the platform, plotting and planning on the platform to harm African Americans. Tell me which one it is. It's the money. It's the money. It's the money. Yeah. Thank you, Gunfox, for the super chat of the 333. Gunfox says, Gunfox says, well, it'll pop. Gunfox says China is asshole. Russia versus China versus India versus Pakistan. Let them have a great war. Again, China is asshole. Dems love China. Yep. Yeah, he's not going to mention China. But what, now, if he has a specific white supremacist
China
group,
is asshole.
There you go. If he has a specific white supremacist group that he's talking about, that's meeting on Facebook, that's actually planning and plotting actual violence, okay, Facebook should take a look at that. But here he goes. He continues. The fact that they allow their platform to be manipulated by a foreign nation, Russia, to suppress black votes and subvert democracy. How did Russia subvert black votes? How did it suppress black votes? You better be very specific. How, especially since, oh God. You know what really suppressed black votes in 2016? Because they certainly didn't do it in the governor's race in Georgia because there was record turnout. You know who suppressed black votes in 2016? She did. Because nobody liked her. Jesus Christ. He arguing that the outcome of that election has caused the neglect of public policy that we're seeing now with a lack of response to deal with this health epidemic. Oh, I can guarantee you that the response to the health epidemic has nothing to do with how many. Well, you know who harmed the most people? That certain governor who sent all the people back to the nursing homes. You know, somebody yesterday made some smart-ass comment on the internet about something about COVID, and I said, well, when they were painting the Black Lives Matter in New York, and no one out there was wearing masks, and I made a comment like, it seems kind of childish and weird that they try to put a fucking, stick a stick in Trump's eye with this Black Lives Matter thing, but all these people are out here not wearing masks in the city with the worst, or in the state with the worst COVID-19 response in the country. And someone responded to me, well, the South has risen and their numbers are worse now. Y'all realize that New York has had 5 times the number of deaths per capita than any of the southern states that you just are trying to talk about? 5 times as many as Arizona per capita. 5 times as many as Georgia per capita. 8 times as many per capita as Florida. 16 times more deaths per capita than Texas. Don't start talking to me about COVID in the South. Oh, the South is rising. Their death, you know why they're rising? because they successfully flattened the curve at the beginning. Apparently, New York didn't. They were sending people back to nursing homes and killing off a bunch of elderly people. Compared to Florida, what is it? Average of like 15 people per nursing home have died were killed off in New York. It's like 2 in Florida. That's 7 times as many. Sorry. Oh. And then they continue, as the leader of one of the largest civil rights organizations in the U.S. Doesn't that make him infallible? Are you trying to add to his credentials here? Hey, Johnny Hellcat with the $13.99, a little Zoe dance there. She's so fine. I just can't get over how cute she is. Thank you, Johnny Hellcat. What do you mean nobody liked her? The Clinton Foundation is a group of the greatest people in America, of all mankind. Hashtag we are not sad. Yes, you must not. I should be very careful. Thank you, Johnny Hellcat, for reminding me of how careful I should be. Anyway, as the leader of the largest civil rights organization in the U.S., he said the group was inspired to take action with the ad boycott to get Facebook to finally pay attention and enact changes after he says his research found there was very little oversight of the social media behemoth. Yeah, the social media behemoth that is constantly fucking with the conservatives. Facebook made nearly $70 billion in advertising revenue alone last year. Well, then they probably just should be okay. I think your little ad boycott probably isn't going to hurt them too bad. They might go from $70 billion to $40 billion. I don't know if it probably wouldn't be that bad. He says Facebook has no regulatory oversight. Oh, wait a minute. You know, when the Republicans were suggesting that maybe the social media companies need some oversight, all you motherfuckers were like, no, they're just fine because they all have the left-wing biases. Well, you didn't say those exact words, but you certainly were making fun of Republicans when you were asking them to have a little oversight. But now that Zuckerberg's not sucking your ass every time I'm sorry, that's really gross. Bending the knee to your demands. Oh, now you want some oversight. Interesting. Since Zuckerberg owns roughly almost 60% of the stock, he doesn't have to be. He says, like, fuck it, I don't have to be held accountable. I am the one vote that can nullify everybody else. Zuckerberg's Facebook CBO and co-founder controls 57.9% of the total voting shares of Facebook, according to a 2020 SEC filing. The only thing that can be done at this juncture is to get the broader corporate community to stand up with our groups and the American people. Wait a minute. I'm going to guess there's a large portion of the American people to tell you to pound sand. To raise the question as forcibly as possible that we need a new standard and we need guardrails on this platform to keep people safe and protect our democracy. You don't give y'all don't give a fuck about our democracy. Stop pretending you do. Okay? You care about one thing, getting Democrats elected. The call for the pause on Facebook ads began June 17th when a coalition of advocacy groups led by the NAACP, Colors of Change, and the Anti-Defamation League, grievance grifters, launched the Stop Hate for Profit campaign, calling on corporations to pause advertising on Facebook during the month of July. Since then, organizers say nearly 1,000 companies have joined in the ad boycott, including multinational conglomerate Unilever, telecom giant Verizon, and coffee chain Starbucks. Oh no! What are we going to do that all those gender studies and African American studies and women's studies majors, what are we going to do if they don't get advertising and people don't come into Starbucks? While the ad boycott was was only to last throughout the month of July, Johnson said they are planning on continuing the fight for a hate-free Facebook as long as it takes. Yes, all the hate on Facebook. You know, when I look at the baby pictures of my friends and pictures of their puppies in their gardens and what they had for dinner last night, the only thing I could think of is, wow, this is really a hateful platform. For the NAACP, we are 111 years old. Doesn't mean you're 111 years smart. And I don't have any problem with the NAACP. It is a, you know, for a long time it was a very important organization until it became strictly a political organization, as in one-sided political organization. And we're going to continue to fight against discrimination. Well, you're not doing it with Facebook. I'm sorry, you're really not. You're not. I'd rather the NAACP. The name is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored Peoples. Okay? Advancement. You're not advancing anything. All you're doing is tearing something down. If you want to be an organization for advancement, how about dealing with the community with which you want to advance, rather than begging from the community that you're begging from? I'm sorry. It's becoming that bad. And it's annoying for me as a black man. There should not be a timeline on that. That should be a collective effort to make sure people are safe. Stop using the word safe. This has nothing. Safe. If I go on Facebook right now and I see all my friends and I chat things to them and type things, whatever, no one's going to reach through my screen and punch me in the mouth. I'm safe on Facebook. If there's something that annoys me on Facebook that I don't want to read, you know what I do? I click. Just like that. Exactly what click. I click. And it goes away. Hello, hate camel. Just in time. This rant is taking much longer than I intended, but you know what? This article is annoying. Oh my God, this article goes on and on and on. Since Facebook began to feel the pinch of advertisers pulling out, the social media giants has announced a series of updates in recent weeks, including labeling newsworthy posts, removing hundreds of extremist Boogaloo-related accounts, and updating its policy for hate in ads. Wait a minute. You were allowing hate in ads? I got to see what that looks like. I really need to see what that looks like. Hate in ads. You know, that's another one of those words that's a bell word, you know, those buzzword words. Holy shit. While these are... but nope, that's not enough. While these are steps in the right direction, while these steps in the right direction are welcome, Johnson said the issue is they, as a platform, are making changes after the fact. Well, what the fuck are you supposed to do? If you're complaining about something, they're changing it, and you're complaining that they're making changes after the fact. Were they supposed to anticipate what you were going to bitch about? And also, again, this is the new McCarthyism. Are you a witch? Hey, I got an idea. Let's go see if this witch floats. Oh, the witch knows how to swim. Well, it's floating. Let's get rid of it. Jesus Christ. Whew. They as a platform are making changes after the fact, after there has been harm, after there have been injuries. Injuries. Okay, you got to be more specific. We want them to be more proactive to ensure people are not harmed before changes are made. We want to be like Minority Report, where you can put some people in water with little funny wires hooked up to them, and they can predict the crime, and then we're gonna go out and arrest those people and throw them in jail for their crime because they had a thought crime, and we should be able to just infer by their thoughts what the crime they're going to do is, and then we're going to remove them from the platform. And we're just going to make it up as we go along, because this is, well, you know what? All you got to do is accuse somebody of communism to know that they're a communist, right? Mr. McCarthy, Senator McCarthy. Oh, I mean, did I say that wrong? You know what I meant. Assholes. And Facebook is, of course, because they're in Silicon Valley, full of like-minded people. Except for, I'm slightly impressed with Zuckerberg here, where he's been like, and apparently because he met with a bunch of people from ADL and NAACP, SPLC, and all the other XYZ organizations, and they came out of that meeting a little biffed because he was not bending the knee to what they said. He's trying to keep it. He's trying to keep it somewhat free on the speech department, although I can't believe that the people, well, we already know that people who work for Facebook love to sabotage conservatives anyway. We've seen enough evidence of that, but whatever. Anyway, we agree that we must be front-footed and take aggressive action against hate and voter suppression. There's nobody on Facebook who could suppress your vote. If you have a brain and you have made the decision to vote, there is not a single thing anyone on Facebook can do to suppress your vote. All you got to do is keep yourself informed and don't use Facebook as your main source of information if that's what you're worried about. Nobody on Facebook can suppress your vote. Nobody on Facebook can reach to the screen, tie your hands to your bedpost or to your desk or to your kitchen table so that you can't go out and vote. No one on Facebook can put a gun through the screen that you're looking at Facebook on and say, "You stay right there until the election's over, motherfucker, or I'm going to shoot your ass." In Minecraft. Nobody can do that. Nobody on Facebook can suppress your vote. And that's all I got to say about that. Good God. It's amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad you're here today at the Morning Night Live. Let's see how many people are here. I got to go back to this other screen. Oh my gosh, we have 51 people in the house. Thank you for being here. Hey, the Morning Night Live is brought to you by you, the viewers of the Morning Night Live. Please, if you'd be so kind. Oh, we got another super chat. Thank you. Gamer Valine in the hizzow. I'm glad you're here. I didn't know you were here. I'm glad you're here now. With the 420, her favorite... her favorite super chat amount. I don't know if it's because of Snoop Dogg or just the concept of 420, but I'll take it. Thank you, dear. Who says, about to have a boogaloo in Arizona. On July 7th, our hippie neighbors had 11.6 thousand new COVID cases. Our hippie, what? Okay. New COVID cases, 304,000 total with 6,800 deaths. Oh, our hippie neighbors in California. Okay. July 7th. Arizona peaked at 4,877 new cases on July 1st. 113,000 cases with 2,000 deaths. Below New York, New Jersey, California, Florida, and Texas. But we are a hotspot. Right. And again, it's a lot of these states, thank you, Gamer Vleen, a point on that. A lot of these states, so they say they wanted to flatten the curve. Well, a lot of these states, like New York, was like, whoop, and then like coming down like this. Okay, so-called flattening the curve when they just blew up and all these people got, all these, especially New York and New Jersey and Michigan. All right, but states like Arizona and Texas and whatever, they, their curve would look like this. Okay, and it was barely up and here, and now it's going up a little bit and here. Didn't you want to flatten the curve so you wouldn't have so many people in the hospital, right? And they successfully do that. But now their totals, which were never high in the first place on the death totals and cases, they were never high in the first place because they were successfully flattening the curve. So their curve, they might have they made a big deal about Florida having the highest one-day death total or highest death total the other week. But it was still lower than almost any day in New York during their peak. Because, again, they flattened the curve. Okay, yes, the totals are going up somewhat. But they flattened the curve. Wasn't that the deal? And as far as the numbers of cases, well, we're doing, 8-9 times the amount of testing we were back then. So of course you're going to find cases. Of course you're going to find a lot more of the asymptomatic or low symptom people, and there'll be a lot more cases. Duh. But anyway, thank you again, Gamer Verleen. I appreciate it. All right, I want to go. Let's get through some of these. I was going to kind of go through some of these kind of quick. What's the ones I wanted to do the most? Oh, so, and again, on the, remember we were talking about the Harper's Magazine letter where a bunch of people decide, oh, no, I'm not Harper's. I'm sorry. The proceedings of the National Academy of Science research, right? That said that kind of debunked the myth of that police shootings are always a racial, the racial component of that, or at least gave some data that showed that maybe it's otherwise. Well, Heather McDonald was the person in the Wall Street Journal who cited that, right? Well, she's got a little bit of reply to the scientists who want to pull their research. And it's on the Wall Street Journal. I've got an archived copy here. I cited their study, so they disavowed it. If scientists retract research that challenges reigning orthodoxies, politics will drive scholarship. Yeah. The Proceedings of the National Academy of Science is a peer-reviewed journal that claims to publish only the highest quality scientific research. Now, the authors of a 2019 article are disowning their research simply because I cited it. Psychologists Joseph Cesario of Michigan State and David Johnson of the University of Maryland analyzed 917 fatal police shootings of civilians from 2015 to test whether the race of the officer or the civilian predicted fatal police shootings. Neither did. One, race-specific rates of violence of crime. Once race-specific rates of violent crime were taken into account, the authors found, there are no disparities among those fatally shot by police. These findings accord with the decades of research shown that civilian behavior is the greatest influence on police behavior. In September 2019, I cited the article's findings in congressional testimony. I also referred to it in a City Journal article in which I noted that two Princeton political scientists, Dean Knox and Jonathan Mumolo, had challenged the study design. Mr. Cesario and Johnson stood by their findings. Even under the study design proposed by Mr. Knox and Mumolo, they wrote, there is again no significant evidence of anti-black disparity in the likelihood of being fatally shot by police. Yes, but the mob came for them. My June 3rd Journal op-ed quoted the PNAS article's conclusion verbatim. It set off a firestorm at Michigan State. The university's graduate employee union pressured the MSU press office to apologize for the harm it caused. Yes, the harm of hurt feelings. That's what harm means these days. That's all harm means. It means hurt feelings. I hate to use the word fifis, but it's hurt fifis. Harm. By mentioning my article in a newsletter, the union targeted physicist Stephen Hugh, who had approved the funding for Mr. Cesario's research. And MSU sacked Hugh from his administrative position. They fired him because he allowed the funding for scientific research. PNAS editorialized that Mr. Cesario and Johnson had poorly framed their article, the one that got through the journal's 3 levels of editorial peer review. So this was peer reviewed, but after the criticism, it was described as poorly framed. Mr. Cesario told this page that Mr. Hughes' dismissal could narrow the kind of topics people can talk about, or what kind of conclusions people can come to. What kind of conclusions? You mean you can't have a scientific conclusion? It's McCarthyism. Now he and Mr. Johnson have themselves jeopardized the possibility of politically neutral scholarship. On Monday, they retracted their paper. They say they stand behind its conclusion and statistical approach, but complain about its misuse, specifically mentioning my op-eds. Oh, they cited you verbatim, and that's considered misuse. The author won't say how I misused their work. Instead, they attribute to me a position I have never taken, that the probability of being shot by police did not differ between black and white Americans. To the contrary, I have, like them, stressed that racial disparities in policing reflect differences in violent crime rates. The only thing wrong with their article and my citation of it is that its conclusion is unacceptable to our current political climate. The retraction bodes ill for the development of knowledge. If scientists must disavow their findings because they challenge reigning orthodoxy, then those orthodoxies will prevail even when they are wrong. Political census will drive scholarship and not the reverse. The consequences for the policing debate are particularly dire. Researchers will suppress any results that contravene the narrative about endemic police racism. That narrative is now producing a shocking rise in shootings in American cities. The victims, including toddlers, are almost exclusively black. But, that's how it goes. Don't argue. All right, now, real quick, let me go. I'm going to go into my mail here because Gunfox had an article that I don't want to. Oh my goodness, I've got all kinds of shit here. Oh, there we go. Viperfox. Here we go. I'm going to find this. Where is it? Wait. This is forwarded. Oh, interesting. Well, I'm just going to read this. This is from the Baltimore Sun. An editorial. That sounds pretty good. I'll just read it from here. Let's see. The Baltimore Sun is definitely not known as a conservative newspaper, so this very well-written assessment of the situation in the USA comes as something of a surprise. An editorial called The Black Dilemma from the Baltimore Sun, which is, they're left-wing as hell. For almost 150 years, the United States has been conducting an interesting experiment. The subjects of the experiment, black people and working-class whites. The hypothesis to be tested. Can a people taken from jungles of Africa and forced into slavery be fully integrated as citizens in a majority white population? What? Okay, I'm going to see where this goes. Because, you know what? Here's the thing. I'm going to stop right there. I was not taken from the jungles of Africa. I was born here in the 60s. in the late 60s. And so okay, let me just keep reading. The whites were the descendants of Europeans who had created a majestic civilization. The former slaves had been tribal peoples with no written language and virtually no intellectual achievements, acting on this is in the Baltimore Sun? Acting on a policy that was not fair to either group, the government released newly freed black people into a white society that saw them as inferiors. America has struggled with racial discord ever since. Decade after decade, problems persisted, but the experimenters never gave up. They insisted that if they could find the right formula, the experiment would work, and concocted program after program to get the result they wanted. They created a Freedmen's Bureau, passed civil rights laws, tried to build the Great Society, declared war on poverty, ordered race preferences, built housing projects, and tried midnight basketball. Their new laws intruded into people's lives in ways that would have been otherwise unthinkable. They called in the National Guard to enforce school integration. They outlawed freedom of association. Over the protests of parents, they put white children on buses and sent them to black schools and vice versa. They tried with money, special programs, relaxed standards, and endless hand-wringing to close the achievement gap. To keep white backlash in check, they began punishing public and even private statements on race. They hung up Orwellian public banners that commanded whites to celebrate diversity and say no to racism. Nothing was off limits if it might salvage the experiment. I'm interested to see where this goes. Some thought that what W.E.B. Du Bois called the talented 10th would lead the way for black people. A group of elite, educated blacks would knock down doors of opportunity and show the world what blacks were capable of. There is a talented 10th. They are the black Americans who have become entrepreneurs, lawyers, doctors, and scientists. But 10% is not enough. For the experiment to work, the 10% has to be followed by a critical mass of people who can hold middle-class jobs and promote social stability. That is what's missing. Through the years, too many black people continue to show an inability to function and prosper in a culture unsuited to them. Detroit is bankrupt, the south side of Chicago is a war zone, and the vast majority of black cities all over America are beset by degeneracy and violence. And blacks never take responsibility for their failures. Instead, they lash out in anger and resentment. And I can understand why this article hasn't gotten a lot of prominence. But nothing changes no matter how much money is spent, no matter how many laws are passed, no matter how many black geniuses are portrayed on TV, and no matter who is the president. So, now, okay, let's just remind you here. About 27 or 20, I think it's lower than that now, 20 to 25% of black people live in poverty or in these inner city areas. So it's a even smaller percentage of the black population, but let's keep going here. Some argue it's a problem of culture, as if culture creates people's behavior instead of the other way around. Others blame white privilege. But since 1965, when the elites opened America's doors to the third world, immigrants from Asia and India, people who are not white, not rich, not connected, have quietly succeeded, while the children of these people are winning spelling bees and getting top scores on the SATs. Black youths are committing half of the country's violent crime, which includes viciously punching random white people on the street for a thrill, as if it has nothing to do with poverty, or that has nothing to do with poverty. The experiment has failed, not because of white culture or white privilege or white racism. The fundamental problem is that American black culture has evolved into an unfixable and crime-ridden mess. They do not want to change their culture or society and expect others to tolerate their violence and amoral behavior. They've become socially incompatible with other races by their own design, not because of racism of others, but by their own hatred of non-blacks. Our leaders don't seem to understand just how tired their white subjects are with this experiment. They don't understand that white people aren't out to get black people. They're just exhausted with them. They are exhausted by the social pathologies, the violence, the endless complaints, and the blind racial solidarity, the bottomless pit of grievances, the excuses, the reflexive animosity. The elites explain everything with racism and refuse to believe that white frustration could soon reach the boiling point. You can't legislate the poor into freedom by legislating the wealthy out of freedom. What one person receives without working for, another person must work for without receiving. The government can't give to anybody anything that the government doesn't first take from somebody else. When half the people get the idea that they don't have to work because the other half is going to take care of them, and when the other half gets the idea that it does no good to work because somebody else is going to get what they work for, that, my dear, is about the end of any nation. You cannot multiply wealth by dividing it. Huh. That's interesting. And I don't know who Ian Duncan is. Let's see if we can look up Ian Duncan here. It's from the Baltimore Sun. Ian Duncan, Baltimore Sun. There are interesting. Okay, Okay, when was this? It was published June 10th, 2015. Let's see. Forward email is a blog post entitled "The Black Dilemma" supposedly appeared in the Baltimore Sun. The Baltimore Sun did not publish this, the Black Dilemma editorial, and it wasn't written by Ian Duncan Smith, as was reported. The editorial was published in December 2014 by American Renaissance, a website that says it approaches the problems of race with race realism. Anthony Bryan, described as an engineer and entrepreneur who lives in Whitopia, wrote the editorial, which is actually called 10% is Not Enough. The editorial begins with the line, "The black-white experiment has failed." So this is not from the Baltimore Sun. I was wondering, this did not sound like anything that would be ever published in the Baltimore Sun. Now, are there nuggets of truth in there? Yes. Is it? I got to be honest with you. I had looked this up under Truth or Fiction. So whoever's forwarding this, I would suggest not forwarding it. But interesting. Well, it's been forwarded quite a bit. It was sent a few days ago. Yeah, no, it was sent a few days ago. It was published in 2014. Is it American Renaissance? Isn't that who's the other guy that just got banned from YouTube? What the hell's his name? The guy who says white, and he's an interesting fellow. He's very educated. He's a PhD. The hell's his name? Sounded like It sounded like race realist garbage word salad. Well, yeah. What's the guy's name that? Yes, Jared Taylor. That's Jared Taylor's publication and organization. There are certain things in that letter where I would go, some of that is true. The part of it, the thing is, even when you hear those kinds of articles, you got to realize that 70% of black people in the United States do not live below the poverty line, are middle class or better. But we don't ever celebrate that idea because we do have a lot of people in the black community who are in poverty, are in those areas where there's lots of violence. And so, it's like when you say that, half the violence in America is it's done by, 13% or 6%, 6% of men. It's even less than that because it's perpetrated by maybe 0.1% of America because it's a very small percentage of the black community in these depressed areas. But it is an exceeding amount of violence. But the violence affects mostly other people of color. That's why when I say, people bring up, well, even with the Black Lives Matter thing, some people bring up Chicago because, yes, you see people getting killed in Chicago or these cities. But Black Lives Matter focuses on this sliver of the violence that is killing black people, that being police shootings. But police shootings are so incredibly rare in the big picture. That's why people go, well, what about Chicago? What about Chicago? Well, are they deflecting or are they just trying to make the point that there's a lot more black people dying whose lives don't seem to matter to the organization Black Lives Matter, because the Black Lives Matter organization has a completely almost unrelated agenda, because Black Lives Matter decided to make many Marxist principles part of their agenda, making the LGBTQ things part of their agenda, making and whenever there's a protest, all these left-wing talking points and ideas and things are all lumped in, where they're not even talking about the actual police brutality aspect of what they're trying to protest. And then again, I say it's all the dog bites man events. So, but yeah, that was interesting. I got you there. All right, let's do a quick round of Twitter. Well, no, I'm not doing Twitter trends today. Yeah, get rid of the nuclear family. Like, what does that have to do with police shootings? And how does that help anybody? Because it for the most part, the black community has already gotten rid of the nuclear family in a large percentage. And how's that help us exactly? How's that helped us? Okay. We already have single people or people raising kids alone, even if they, part of the thing is, well, they did a study and black men are involved with their kids more than white men. Really? Do they live in the same home? When it's time for discipline, are they there? Okay. Is when it's time to have a figure in the home that someone should be learning to respect? Is it just one person who can't do it by themselves? Is the neighborhood raising your kids? So, I don't know about all that. Let's see. So here's another example. Here's another example of this McCarthyism, so to speak. I'm not going to call it cancel culture anymore. I'm going to call it the new McCarthyism, because that's what it is. It's not cancel culture. It's the new McCarthyism. We demand you think exactly how we think, or we're going to destroy you. It's the new McCarthyism. Crushing an Inwood eatery just because you don't like how its owner voted. And if you've been reading about Goya, the food company, yeah, that too. Anyway, I am going to go to Twitter trends because of that. Crushing an Inwood eatery just because you don't like how its owner voted. If you own a small business and voted for President Trump in 2016, or you are thinking you might vote for him this year, you might want to keep it to yourself. Because if you're oh so tolerant and open-minded progressive customers find out about your grave political transgressions, they might just organize a boycott campaign against your firm and seek to destroy, there's that word, your livelihood, because it is the new McCarthyism. That's exactly what happened to Thomas Bosco, who owns the Indian Road Cafe in Manhattan. In May, Bosco went on MSNBC to discuss the devastating impact of the coronavirus lockdowns on his business. When asked by host Ari Melber how he graded Trump's performance during the pandemic, Bosco indicated that while mistakes were made, he still supports the president. Oops. I still support the president. And added that he supports Governor Andrew Cuomo and Mayor Bill de Blasio. So he said all three. At this point, Melber, for God knows what reason, asked Bosco if he had voted for Trump. And would he again? The answer to both questions was yes. And that was all it took. Here's how the New York Times described the local reaction. The backlash. Oh, the backlash was swift, as you might expect. Neighbors rallied in the comments on various neighborhood Facebook groups. Oh, did they use Facebook to organize violence against this man who voted for Trump? Neighbors railed on the comments on various neighborhood Facebook groups, posting hundreds of angry messages aimed at the cafe and one another. Some people called for a boycott. Note the term, as you might expect. What sane person would expect this? One member of the mob egging on the destruction of this man's livelihood and that of his employees was Randy Washington, president of the American Federation of Teachers. Literally, a head of a union took the time to call for a boycott on some cafe in Manhattan. She wrote, "It's hard to ever go back." Really? Why? Because he voted for Trump? The American Federation of Teachers has 1.7 million members. Guess what, Randy? Some of them voted for Trump. Are you comfortable representing them? Thank you, C. Thomas, for the super chat. Another two bills. BLM was never credible at the start and has been co-opted by the intersectionalist Marxist lunatics who don't give a single shit about anyone but the group think. Also, if you take their words and replace white with Jew, you get Mein Kampf. That's, it kind of, you're right. I'm telling you, it's getting to that. One member of the mob egging on the destruction. Okay, I said it's that. To be clear, this is madness. Bosco is a restaurant owner who opened his business to a largely liberal community that is now turning its back on him. All this because he committed the same sin as 63 million other Americans when it cast his ballot for Donald Trump. That is 63 million people that are these dour, nothing better to do lunatics wish to see bankrupted. Do those Trump voters have kids? Do Trump voters have kids to feed? Too bad. Mom should have thought of that before she voted for the bad orange man. Does the left really want civil war? Because such vengeful politics targeting anonymous nobodies is the kind of thing that will rip us asunder our social fabric and make a common life together impossible. It will also have a chilling effect on discourse at exactly the time when everybody seems to agree great national conversation is needed. Vilifying Trump voters and targeting them for economic destruction serves absolutely no valuable social purpose. It's a temper tantrum. Oh, I said that earlier. It is a scream therapy. It is a way for mostly white, affluent progressives to enjoy their weekends in the Hamptons guilt-free. Yes, that deserves one of these.
Gotcha, bitch.
Nothing gets accomplished at all, but hey, at least they showed that awful restaurant owner guy who voted for Trump. What makes this situation all the more sad is if you watch the MSNBC panel discussion in which Bosco appeared, he seems to be a deeply compassionate human being. Restaurants that choose to stay open in Gotham are losing money. In many cases, they are open only to keep their employees afloat. Bosco talked about how he felt scared when the shutdown happened and how the government helped him with a generous check. He spoke in the spirit of partnership with the understanding that we all need to help each other. As for his trouble, he has been stabbed in the back by his neighbors. So if you're in Inwood one of these days, stop by the Indian Road Cafe and grab a sandwich. Support this local upstander who committed no sin other than to speak his mind, and don't let the shallow souls of cancel culture, the new McCarthyism, another scalp. Send the message that this is a free country. We aim to keep it that way, bozos. Now, I'll tell you what, that reminds me, I am going to check Twitter trends because, what the hell? Come on, there we go. Let's see if this is still trending. It was trending last night, and it was trending today. Let's see, on the trending tab, The Old Guard, some show on Netflix, don't care. Let's go to trending tab and see if Goya is still trending. Well, it is. It's trending. It's been trending number one since yesterday. This is a good example. Many customers call for a boycott of Goya Foods after CEO praises Trump leadership. Now, if you're not familiar with Goya Foods, they make seasonings and beans and all kinds of shit. They're a huge Hispanic-owned food company. You find them in the international section of your food aisle at your local grocery store. Many customers call for a boycott of Goya Food after CEO praises Trump's leadership. Speaking at the White House following a roundtable with Hispanic businesses and political leaders, Goya Food CEO Robert Unanue said, quote, "We are truly blessed to have a leader like President Trump, who is a builder." Unanu's praise of President Trump prompted many to claim they will boycott Goya, which is America's largest Hispanic-owned food company. People lost their shit on Twitter, and you had like big name politician Julian Castro, the mayor of San Antonio. Is he the one? Who's the one who ran for president? Anyway, he called for a boycott of Goya Foods. He has 1 million followers on Twitter. People lost their... Here it is. Julian Castro. Goya Foods has been a staple of so many Latino households for generations. Now their CEO, Bob Unanue, is praising the president, who villainizes and maliciously attacked Latinos for political gain. Bullshit. He is against illegal immigration. Happens to be a lot of Hispanics who immigrate illegally, but so many of the things that people say that he said are basically just fucking bullshit myths. Americans should think twice before buying their products. Goya way. That's a fun play. That's a little cute play on words, isn't it? David Bignod, who's from lead national correspondent for CBS This Morning. Today, after Goya Foods CEO said, "We're truly blessed to have a leader like President Trump, who is a builder," boycott Goya was trending. Goya is the largest... Okay, I already know that. Me accepting that I could no longer support Goya or their adobo and sofrito. Literally, people just... Oh my God, it's still trending. People are saying that Latinos who are not on Twitter won't care about Goya supporting Trump. Goya didn't support Trump. He supported the initiative and thanked Trump for being a leader on this initiative. You best believe I'm texting everyone I know. I'll put the memo on a religious Facebook chain post. Facebook? Oh no! Using Facebook to cause harm to people! Facebook chain post if I need be so my tias can see it. Time to find another brand for my seasoning. It's sad because I really like Goya's adobo. By the way, I have 2 canisters of Goya adobo in my kitchen cabinet. It is delicious on chicken and fish. This guy, Igor Volsky, he is executive director of Guns Down America, 168,000 followers. The CEO of Goya Foods is at a White House event saying, "We're blessed to have a leader like Trump. Make your shopping decisions accordingly." Yeah, FTG to all these motherfuckers, especially this guy. Now here's a little ditty about this company. So here's an example of what Goya does. What kind of a company Goya is. Goya Gives is a program to support various charities, scholarships, and events, and includes donations of products to food shelters and food banks during times of crisis, such as Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. In March and April 2020, in response to the coronavirus pandemic, Goya donated food and face masks in the United States. From June 1st, 2017 until June 30th, 2018, Goya partnered with Feeding America to launch the Can Do campaign as part of the Goya Gives program in order to help feed families' needs and end hunger in the United States. Throughout the year, different product promotions were featured in order for consumers to purchase and contribute to the overall donation. In total, over 1.5 million pounds of food, which equals about 125 million meals, were donated. That's the kind of company Goya is. And here it is. Ana Navarro, another TDS sufferer, Please don't throw away food. Many hungry people in our country donate unwanted Goya food products to a food bank. There are many alternative Latin products in the market. The CEO of Goya has every right to his opinion. Consumers have every right to theirs. It's called freedom. Yes, you do, Anna Navarro. I'm not going to say it because I'll get kicked off of YouTube. Anyway, there is trending. Number 2 is buy Goya. Oh, there's people who are saying buy Goya. Maybe the Trump people will start supporting Goya. Twitter will spend the day trying to bury the hashtag buy Goya. Don't let them. Well, that's interesting. Oh, this is cute. Racists supporting Hispanic products. This country is a backward mess. Well, maybe. Now, hear me out. Maybe, Kimberly. Maybe they're not racists. Did that ever cross your mind? Can you ever think outside that tiny little box that holds your brain? And just maybe they're not racists.
Your life makes me sad.
Buy Goya is now trending. To spite Trump critics, Trump supporters are going to, checks note, season their food. Oh, that's the fun. Why? Because I get it. Because white people don't season their food. Oh my God! I've never heard that joke before. I'm not even technically a Trump supporter, but I have some of that Goya adobo seasoning in my cabinet. I might even have a couple cans of Goya black beans in my pantry because I like using black beans when I make chili. Although I haven't made chili for a while. Oh, yes. Oh, because Juanita Broderick said, buy Goya. Remember the name when you shop. Goya. Don't let the left silence freedom of speech. Yeah, I get it. Let's see here. Republicans trending buy Goya like they seasoned their food in the first place. Oh, the same joke. They don't have any other jokes. It's almost like that white people not seasoning their food joke is kind of like the attack helicopter joke for trans people that's got played out years ago. Well, the white people's not seasoning their food. Have you ever been to a barbecue contest? There's lots of white people that can cook some serious barbecue. I'm just saying. Oh, they don't. White people don't season their food. That's so funny. When I buy Goya was trending, I thought we were talking about Francisco Goya paintings and prints. Yes, he's a famous artist. How exactly are you owning the libs by spending your own money to buy Goya in a capitalist society? Good thing Goya has seasoning already because you wouldn't know what to do with it. The white people who don't season their food joke. Oh my God, it's so original. Well, I'm not white, so I do season my food, bitch. Got my Goya foods. Get yours today. Finally, foods that we can support. Okay. Goya foods. It's what's for dinner. Buy Goya. Oh, that'll get them. That'll piss some people off. Oh boy, I'm going to buy some Goya. I don't tolerate the woke jokes trying to control actions and thought through boycotts because they know their ideas can't win on the merits. Buy Goyas. I haven't seen liberals this upset since... Whoa, we got another super chat since yesterday. Yes, the hashtag activists are out in force. Thank you, Gamer Valide, with another 420. Still trying to teach my guys, Dad, gin and juice. Never puff the green. This Trump voter needs Goya. Leave Goya alone. I need their sazon and sofrito. So make my pollo guisado. Guisado? Stewed chicken. In a rush. Yeah, you know what? I bet there's some white people in Arizona that just be killing that Goya. Can I come over for dinner, Gamer Valine? when you make some of that pollo guisado, I'm just saying. Okay. All right, let's just run through. I gotta be done. So let's see. And if there's anything I care about trending Friday, feeling. I got a feeling. Ooh. Oh, Spotify's down. So there's a thing going on with Spotify and a couple other apps that apparently are being fucked up by some Facebook app on iPhones. Is that a coincidence? I just gotta know. A lot of people are panicking Spotify's not working on the iPhones. Oh, it's working again on iOS. Okay. And it was trending somewhere earlier today, and I can't find it. It had something to do with some Facebook program on iPhones that was interfering with like Spotify and I want to say Pinterest and a couple other sites, but apparently they've got it fixed. Tony Lopez is a straggart. What the hell is that? What's that mean? Who is Tony Lopez? Elijah Daniel logging on Twitter today. Is this something to do with... Okay, I don't know. Don't care. I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to see if there's something... What the hell's going on there? All right. Let's see. Goya Way. That's the thing on Goya. Anything in here that I care about? Lou Dobbs is trending because he said something to praise Trump. The people are pissed. The Catholic Church is trending because apparently they got paycheck protection loans through the government, which, and technically they're a business. I don't know if I don't know how that works. But that was in the New York Times. Hispanic is trending probably because of Goya Foods. Anything else on here that I really give a shit about? This one was good. I saw this earlier too. West Virginia mail carrier admits attempted election fraud. All right, yeah, way to go. A West Virginia postal carrier pleaded guilty Thursday to altering mail-in requests for absentee voter ballots. Thomas Cooper entered the plea in federal court in Elkins to attempt election fraud and injury to the mail. U.S. Attorney Bill... Oh, we got another super chat. Oh, my goodness. Jaeger Pony with my favorite shake weight alert with the 2222. Thank you. I got another. Okay, hang on. Okay, so Jaeger Pony says... And we got a 420 from Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
Jaeger Pony
Virginia mail carrier is pleading guilty
hang on, let me
to
pause
altering
this.
mail-in requests for absentee voter ballots.
Okay, stop.
Thomas Cooper was
I hit the
charged in
pause. All right. Jaeger Pony says, shake away them blues with reparations coffee. Yes, you do keep my coffee supply very
West
healthy.
Virginia
Shut
mail carrier is
up!
pleading
Jesus
guilty to
Christ, turn that off. All right. Thank you for the 2222 Jaeger Pony and Black Hebrew Israelite with the 420 with a little Snoop and juice or something like that, who says black people prepare with season, white people cook with season. And that was a...
That's right.
There we go. Is it? I don't know. Maybe. Oh, so I gotta laugh. If you know what a cowboy ribeye is, Lady Boomer was at Sam's Club, and she had always wanted to buy one of those big ass cowboy ribeyes. It's like has the big old thing of meat with the big bone hanging out of it. And they didn't have them the last time she wanted to get one. And so I'm like, yesterday, Lady Boomer was at Sam's Club. And she came home and she said, hey, they had cowboy ribeyes. I picked up a couple. Which she did. But a couple, in her mind, I said, how many did you get? A couple? What do you mean? You got a 2? She says, no, I got 6. 6 cowboy ribeyes. They're like 3 pounds a piece. And she's like, well, I thought maybe, we could invite the kids over and they could bring their significant others. Do you know how many people a 3-pound cowboy ribeye feeds? Because that could feed 2 or 3 people in one meal. She bought 6 of them. So anyway, I seasoned a couple up, and they're in the freezer. I'm doing one of these, this 24-hour, 45 pounds. No, 6 times 3 is 18. 18 pounds of cowboy ribeyes. Almost 18 pounds. Yeah, I don't know why she did that. But anyway, they're huge, so we're gonna probably have to freeze a couple. But I did season one up last night because we're gonna have one tonight, and you salt them way ahead of time, and then you wrap them and you put them in the fridge. Then you take them out, you let them sit for an hour, then you do the rest of the seasoning on them, and bam, that bad boy on the grill. Put some grill marks on it, and then you got to put grill marks on the other side, and then you got to put it on indirect heat because they're so thick that you don't want them to cook too fast, and then you got to let them sit for like 5 to 10 minutes after you cook them so that they, so that they relax and it becomes super tender. Oh, they're delicious, but I don't know why she bought 6. I can't believe it. Anyway, thank you, Black Hebrew Israelite, Jaeger Pony, and Gamer Valine for the last 3 super chats. Let me finish this up. So anyway, this guy committed voter fraud. So he was charged in May after 8 mail-in requests for absentee voter ballots had their party affiliations altered. Cooper, 47, of Dry Fork. Yes, Cooper, 47, of Dry Fork held a postal contract to pick up mail in the 3 towns in which the voters live and delivered the forms in April to the Pendleton County Clerk, according to a federal affidavit. An investigation by the Secretary of State's office found 5 of the ballot requests were changed from Democrat to Republican with black ink. Oh, now I know why this article is trending. I know why it's trending now. Because he changed them from Democrat to Republican. That's why. Betty Cougar, the Attorney General's office investigator who conducted the probe on behalf of the Secretary of State's office, said in the affidavit that the Pendleton County Clerk called some of the voters after receiving the request because she knew they were not Republicans. How did she know that? The clerk then contacted the Secretary of State's office to report the alterations. Oh my God. That's the only reason this is trending, even though cases in New Jersey where hundreds and hundreds of ballots were thrown out. Didn't trend. Let's see what's trending on this absentee. Then we got to go. Okay, this is Dom. Okay, he talked about this. Absentee ballots are the exact same thing as mail-in ballots. No, they're not. Okay, hang on. So Donald Trump tweeted, mail-in ballot fraud found in many elections. Many people are just now seeing how bad, dishonest, and slow it is. Election results could be delayed for months. No more big election night answers. 1% not even counted in 2016. Ridiculous. Just a formula for rigging an election. Absentee ballots are fine because you have to go through a precise process to get your voting privilege. Not so with mail-ins. Yeah. Now, Brooklyn Dad Defiant, this guy who always answers everything Trump does. He's the new version of the Krassensteins. Absentee ballots are the exact same thing as mail-in ballots, you dopes. No, they're not. What they're proposing on the mail-in ballots is to just randomly send ballots out to every single person who's registered to vote. Absentee ballots you actually have to request because you have to have a reason to vote absentee. You're going to be out of the state or whatever. They're similar, but they're not the same as just blanket sending out ballots to mailboxes that could be stolen and cheated with. So, no, it's not the same, Mr. Brooklyn Dad Defiant. Go fuck yourself. All right. Anything else I care about here? That seems to be it. Subscribe to Fangraphs. I don't know what that is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday. I know that was really loud, but it's Friday, which means the weekend is upon us. And I hope that you, as a viewer of the Morning Night Live, find a way to enjoy your weekend. I know that I will be trying to get the last vestiges of fog out of the pool that we unfortunately have in this house that we bought many years ago from a bank that we got a great deal, but it came with a freaking pool, and it's a, the pool's a pain in the ass. But it is nice when the kids were young, or not young, but had friends that came over all the time. Now it's just a place for Lady Boomer to float, and I've got to finish getting it clean because I just opened it. We waited till late to open it, and now it's just being a pain in the ass. So that's what I'm going to be doing this weekend, figuring out how to get the water to be clear instead of cloudy, and I'll be spending some time out in the sun, maybe taking some pictures of the garden and shit like that. I hope you have some good plans for the weekend, though. It's the post 4th of July weekend, but in any case, I might be streaming tomorrow. I don't know. It'll be random. Watch your notifications. Watch your Twitter or Minds or Gab or Parler notifications. And if you're not following one of those, hey, up there, at PAWG Night on all those platforms. You can follow me on those. I'm here normally Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, 1500 GMT for my friends in the other parts of the world that don't use our standard times. And please make sure you share the stream. Hit the like button on your way out. You can donate to the show through the Streamlabs link and at pdognight.live. Thank you to Gamer Valine, Jaeger Pony, Black Hebrew Israelite, C. Thomas, and Johnny Hellcat, and Gunfox, all the super chatters today. That is awesome. I really appreciate you. Also, thanks everybody participating in the chat, everyone lurking in the background, people who watching after the fact. Leave a comment in the comment section so I know that you were here. And Sugar Blue Driftwood, I didn't say hi. I just noticed you're here. Kyra Alexander, how you doing? Renovasio, great to see you. Any other names I missed? Katie did skate. BG, ha, 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 ha. Staying alive, staying alive. And that's it. I got to go. But I really appreciate you. Have a great weekend. My name's PAWG Night, and I am out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PAWG Night, and thank you for watching today on the PAWG Night channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comments section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterward so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through the Streamlabs link, which is also in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PAWG Night, and I'm out of here.